We will continue now with the last speaker of this afternoon's session. It is Professor Dr. Kurt Widhalm, Professor for Pediatrics and Clinical Nutrition of the University of Vienna, President of the European Association for Research in Obese Children, President of the Austrian Academy for Clinical Nutrition, former head of the Department of Nutrition and Metabolism of the University of Vienna. He also held esteemed positions on committees and boards, including past president of the Austrian Lipid Society, the Federation of European Societies of Nutrition. Professor Widhalm has published over 350 scientific papers and books and will speak to us today on the influence of Hippocrates on Austrian medicine. Professor, I give you the word. Please, you can start.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saratopoulos, dear Olga. I just want to thank for the patience. I had some technical problems, but I would like to thank also to the organizers to be able and to be invited to such an esteemed meeting with so many famous researchers and physicians all over the world. I want to start with a short history about the influence of Hippocrates on Austrian medicine. You see Hippocrates here, and you heard a lot of his work, and he was really a pioneer in medicine and also in many subspecialties of medicine. I want to go in a few words about the principles of his medicine. And the principles was that he decided and detected that the balance of fluids in the body is very important. And he was one of the first who detected that climate or an unhealthy lifestyle can cause diseases. And so he was a founder of the rational medicine. And he also decided that religious aspects are not on the first place in the medicine, but he did not exclude them. Second, he thought that essential for health and for the body fluids are four fluids. One is blood, second is mucus or phlegm, and third is yellow, and fourth is black bile. And the balance between the fluids is associated with a health imbalance, and hence imbalance is making the cause of the disease. We heard a lot about his dogmas, but I want to go briefly in a few points. We had an excellent presentation from the English professor, and I want to go briefly in that topic. Every physician should have the ability for intensive studies of the scientific literature, which is not only very common today. Not many doctors are reading a lot. Only by means of studying various textbooks of medicine, the doctor will have the ability for perception and opinion. Even then, he will be able to deeply penetrate by research into this art. And he defined medicine as an art, not only a science. Furthermore, he should be well educated in all other topics of science, mainly in philosophy. And I think this is a very important point, because philosophy is one of the backgrounds of a very good medicine. And he created the idea that medicine is a science which can be learned, and health is a condition which is harmonized status of a well-balanced between body and soul. 500 years later, and this has also been cited before, based on the dogma of Hippocrates, Galen, the famous Roman physician, expanded the scheme for the definition of health and disease, included also warm and cold temperature, and dry and humid the humidity. And it was also decided before the Corpus Hippocraticum, a big volume which has been written many years later, mainly originally anonymous, but he was able to describe subspecialties of medicine: surgery, gynecology, pathology, and traumatology. And how did he describe the basics of health? First of all, he said that a healthy, frugal, modest nutrition is very important to maintain health. And illness, he was described by Hippocrates, differentiated between the appearance of suffering and the cause of the disease. So by that definition and by that, he was the founder of pathology and pathognomia. He also used auscultation. He was a genius surgeon. His treatment of head wounds have been considered as a masterpiece of medicine in that time. And he also described exactly the rheumatic diseases, different forms, separated from monoarthritis, the gout. And his motto, it was also decided before, art is long, but life is short. Some examples on the influence on Austrian medicine. I mentioned rheumatology, and rheumatology was very famous in Austria in the 20th century. Physical treatment was included, physiotherapy was included, and all these has been described by Hippocrates many years ago. A research institute for rheumatology has been founded in Vienna in 1973, and also a very high-level department of rheumatology was founded at the Medical University in Vienna. And they described and worked on autoimmune diseases and also an antibody treatment, which opened a new era in the treatment of rheumatic diseases. And three names should be mentioned: Ebel, Breul, and Smoln, who were famous also in the international literature. Another example of his influence on Austrian medicine is that he described the nature of disease. And in that regard, a very famous Austrian pathologist, Philipp Hartmann, wrote a book entitled Theoria Morbi Sui Pathologia Generalis. And from that philosophy, he was able to describe functional and organic disorders, which are typical and which should be differentiated very exactly. And he also influenced Karl von Rokitansky, a very famous pathologist. But what was new, he also described the psychiatry and the psychological problems in the human being. And the power of the nature was also described exactly. And I found one very interesting example for the description of Hippocrates, and he described the soul and the unconscious. And he described on an example the dream. King Perdiccas, the second from Macedonia, was very ill, and his doctor, Eriphon, thought he's incurable. He was on the school of Cnidi, competition school of Kos, and he only treated him somatically. Hippocrates have been called to King Perdiccas, and he visited him, and he was able to interpret in long discussions the dreams of the king. And the king told him about his love to the beautiful Phila, the concubine of his father. And Hippocrates advised him to realize his wishes. Perdiccas came to satisfaction and was completely cured. And from that point of view, I want to go to the next step, to the philosophy and world revolution in psychiatry which was mainly done by Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was born in 1856 and died in 1933, and he described the dream is the disguised fulfillment of a depressed and inhibited wish. He differentiated between manifest and latent dream, contents between material which is capable for consciousness, which we can reproduce when we are awake, and consciousness-related dreams who are a place for own wishes. And this was a very important step for a psychotherapeutic revolution and procedure to the Tiefen psychology, or deep psychology, was founded by Sigmund Freud on the Vienna Medical University. And Hippocrates was, moreover, by his description of the dreams and the following of the dreams, a founder of the psychoanalysis and the endeavor of the censor of over ego, over I am. And everybody knows the Hippocrates oracles on the left side. And you see on the bottom of this slide the temple and the house, which was famous. And in that place, Hippocrates taught his pupils and also wrote the books. And in the bottom of this slide, you see the festival hall of the University of Vienna, in which every student who finished his medical studies has to swear the Hippocrates oath. And finally, I want to show you the big Allgemeines Krankenhaus, General Hospital in Vienna, which was founded by Joseph II in 1784. And in that hospital, the theory and the ideas of Hippocrates were developed to a high level. And finally, I want to show you a picture of the collegium of the professors in 1882. And you see Billroth, who was decided before. You see also Meinert, a very famous anatomist, and also other very famous doctors. And all these doctors had in his mind the ideas of Hippocrates, and their work has been strictly and immensely influenced by the ideas of Hippocrates by means of pathology, and also in the sense that Hippocrates was the first detector and endeavor of the soul, and the very important meaning of the soul in medicine. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Widhalm, for this very interesting presentation, which showed us how much the Hippocratic medicine influenced the Austrian medicine. I will keep the fact that you said that every physician should see medicine as an art and not only as a science. He should be well educated in all other fields, mainly in philosophy. And he should see the patient, the human being, as a whole body and soul. Because art is long and life is short, as Hippocrates said. And only who is familiar with the art and science of the past can contribute to the evolution and future medicine. Thank you very much, Professor Widhalm. And I would like to thank all the speakers of this afternoon's session. They showed us how important Hippocrates was, what an amazing impact and influence he had to all the countries of his time, to all the medicine of his time. And he deserves the title Father of Medicine. And we all should be proud as Hellenes to have had in our history such personality. Thank you very much to have joined us. Thank you very much to all the people also behind the scene who contributed to the success of this conference. Thank you very much.